Sports TV, man. That's my dude. I rolls with him.
You heard what the man said. It's Flight Sports TV.
Flight Sports TV, that's where it's at.
Flight Sports TV.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Flight Sports TV, the machine, the voice of the voiceless, the people's champ, the hottest in the streets. Shout out to the panel as it reaches its premium peak, and shout out to the chat and all of its cacophony spewing out of the cracks and crevices of Flight Sports block, and mainly a thorough recognition to all y'all pulling up to Flight Sports TV to enjoy this extravaganza. Because there's many places you can be in the world with the 24 hours that you are given that equalizes all of our activities. You are here with us here at Flight Sports TV. And before we carry on, please hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. And definitely hit the notification bell so you won't miss one iota of an exuberant experience. And we all want to thank Flight for inviting us onto his platform and integrating us onto his stream. It's always a pleasure to recognize the vast humility that this young man displayed, this family of three, displayed when giving us an opportunity to espouse, elaborate on content that we have dearly experienced, observed, and learned. Well, listen, after all that entrance of a monologue, man, are we still recovering from the awesome miracle at Folsom Field. We are still trying to get our equilibrium on par. Our mentality right now is still awestruck from the rattling of our medulla when we saw two of the greatest plays in the history of college football with QB1 Shedeur Sanders and DB1 Travis Hunter. How often do you see two of your megastars, high-end celebrities, participate in pounding ground football, come out banged up but victorious? And each one of them individually made super spectacular plays on the tundra. Might I mention, it happened to be senior night where the seniors of Colorado, and some seniors may be part of the transfer portal, got a grand witnessing of what happened last night as things start to unfold in the waning 2 seconds remaining of that miraculous, improbable pass and catch that sent the game into overtime. Colorado Buffs versus the Baylor Bears. I'm saying the reverb that resonated throughout the collegiate landscape was definitely felt, and the epicenter was at Folsom Field. It went all the way down the I-40 corridor, all the way down to the I-30, all the way down to the I-35, south of Dallas, south of Fort Worth. The Richter scale that measured this earthquake from the Rocky Mountains all the way down to Waco, Texas. And it sent Waco, Texas in a frenzy because it was so unbelievable. Nothing have happened this great in Waco, Texas since the ambush of David Koresh. I'm talking about fireworks exploded, and the Baylor Bears felt the brunt of the burden of the catch and the hit of the season so far. Travis Hunter met a full throttle running back headed towards the end zone to give the Baylor Bears an opportunity to tie the game in overtime. Leapfrog, left his feet, springboard from the tundra, and right at the crescendo of his mid-air collision, the ball fuselage out of the arms of the ensuing running back. Travis Hunter hit this man so hard it was almost like a meteorite. It was almost like the meteorite that ended the so-called dinosaur reign on planet Earth. It sent everything into a tangent that the fans rushed the field in fervor and celebration, and the game wasn't officially over. This is what Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter can do to you. Make you forget where you at. They tore down the goalpost. I mean, vandalism was at an all-time high. And all the charades, all the chatter, all the noise, the decibels was at an all-time high. I'm talking about hysteria. Hysteria in Boulder. The people went wild. Listen, even Baylor fans was awestruck at what happened. Baylor fans were in the stadium dealing with cognitive dissonance. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. And what they were seeing, they couldn't believe. This couldn't be happening. If you were to pan the camera throughout the fan base of the faithful Baylor Bears, you could have got a glimpse of them pinching themselves, trying to verify if this was a reality. It was mad crazy. So please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. Listen, the things that happened last night, a lot of us who are pro Coach Sanders and the program of C Buff are still excited. And the reason why we are excited, this has nothing to do with glazing and all of the negative and disparaging epithet that has been hurled at the fan base of Coach Prime and C Buff Nation. This has nothing to do with all that fancy talk. But what it have to do is with reality. The reality that CU Buff is coming, and they coming to a theater near you. And they're bringing along all of its theatrics. They bringing along all of its soiree. They bringing along all of its trope and song and dance. They bringing it with them. That's part of their baggage. Like it or love it. CU Buff Nation is going to take a little time getting used to. May that bear on your bones. What we are witnessing is a whirlwind of fantastic play, thrilling, nail-biting, on your edge of your seat type theater. And whether you pro or con, whether you for or against, you have to admit that when C Buff is on the field, demonstrating what they demonstrate, you can't take your eyes off of them. Winning or losing, playing good or playing bad, you can't take your eyes off of them. CU Buff is the talk of the town. There is no college program out there right now. Texas is number one. I'm talking about Big Buck, Texas is number one in the nation. We're talking about Roll Tide, number 3 in the nation. What about those Bulldogs up in Georgia? Number 2 in the nation. We ain't hearing nothing out of that. What are we? We're not even hearing a murmur that their activities have reached outside of their region. Why is that? I mean, Kirby Smart is a very elite coach. Ryan Day at Ohio State, elite coach. Michigan lost their elite coach to the San Diego Chargers. But up there at the big house, it's still a big thing. That maize and blue is true. And they are the current national champions of collegiate football. They just beat USC. I mean, as a USC fan, a horrible fashion. They just gashed USC on the rush game. and USC folded. That is a big win for Michigan and a big story for college football. Texas, the number one team in the nation, undefeated. They did their thing. You have Archie Manning's grandson at the helm of the University of Texas. Sarkisian is the head coach, the quarterback whisperer. You ain't hearing much out of that. I'm talking about Archie Manning come through a lineage of excellent football players and Super Bowl winners. It's in his DNA. They trying to pump him up. They really want Archie Manning to be the quarterback of the University of Texas, but a lot of people that are pundits really know Archie Manning is not better than Ewing. But what a story it would be if the progeny, Archie Manning, ends up being a University of Texas quarterback throughout the season. Because Ewing is not able to get back to form. That'd be a hell of a story. But it wouldn't outweigh or outpervade the story up at CU Buff Nation. I mean, the word is out now. The Colorado Buffaloes is must see TV. Is must see TV. The word is out. You got two outstanding players, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter. Both of these young, spectacular, output gentlemen is vying for votes for the Heisman Trophy. Travis Hunter plays both sides of the ball, so he can affect two dynamics of the football play for Colorado, 2/3 of the total dynamic. 2/3 of the total dynamic. This man output has been impactful. And if the special teams keep acting the way they're acting, you might see Travis Hunter playing all dynamics on the field. Offense, defense, special teams. The three dimensions of American football. The Colorado Buffaloes, love them or hate them, has come into America's living room. It's getting to the point where the wave will encapsulate the common man and woman who occasionally watch sports and will sit up on a Saturday and watch maybe their son, their daughter participate in a college football game on television. And maybe once their game is over, or even during their game, depending on the time slot the Colorado Buffalo will hold, they might turn the channel and see what's going on with Shedeur, Coach Prime, and Travis Hunter. This how evasive the Colorado football program has become. They are invading the living rooms of American sports fans. And when you have the kind of entertainment that has been shown so far with Colorado, 3-1. Their record is 3-1. It's an early season. The season is still in its first trimester. So we're not going to get too ahead of ourselves. But what we are going to do is not allow this moment to escape us like it didn't happen. The naysayers, the disbelievers, the haters, and the pessimists and the cynics of CU Buff Nation want this to hurry up and disappear. I mean, it couldn't dissipate fast enough for these people because they are languishing in their anguish and they are swallowed in their sorrow because there's nothing negative that will be taken seriously, could be hurled at Buff Nation at this time. You can't do it with not a sane person or a person who's trying to come off as if they are sane. Only an insane, deprived mind will hurl insults and negative epithets at CU Buff Nation right now. You have to be a psychopath. Because these young men are smiling. When you witness and observe their press conferences, you saw nothing but smiles. And for me, coming up in the thickness and thongs of the inner city, that is a fascinating thing to see these young men smile as being achievers at a school that was underachieving. You got to remember what's happening right now is a elevation. What is happening right now is an expansion. And they are showing how you can win when the odds are against you. They're showing you how you can win when people are against you. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. So all of his demons can drown in a sea of love. All of his demons that parades these digital landscape can drown in a sea of love. Because that's what they despise. They despise seeing that love and that real camaraderie amongst C-Buff Nation. They said it couldn't be done. Coach Prime couldn't do it. He couldn't take the talent from an HBCU and bring it to a PWI Power 5 conference and succeed. Nobody wants to see that. He's wasting his time, and he is misleading these young men by instilling in them hope, focus, concentration, and structure. They said it couldn't be done. Woe is he who lie in the face of reality. They said it couldn't be done. Now, I noticed when I was watching these young men doing their post-game presser and sharing their analysis on what went down. And these reporters was trying to tangle these young men up. Some reporters. So I know the devil's in the house. Some of these reporters are trying to tangle these young men up. So to be embarrassed based on their educational level. And man, did they turn some of these misguided reporters up on their hiney. These young men were very clear, poignant, and direct, not only answering the question, but the way their vernacular was unleashed had the reporters who was trying to do some trickery in a headlock. Yes, they might have had some country grammar, and I'm not talking about Nelly, because these boys are from the South. A lot of these young men that Deion has occurred in attempt to coalesce them into a core come from the South. This is where his recruiting ground is. It's obvious. But these young men, in an excited moment like what happened last night, was still able to bring forth clarity and definition to what they observed, what their mission was, and their assignment. You can't do nothing but celebrate that. I know that's kind of intricate, and some of us only participate watching these games on the surface. You don't go that deep, and it's okay. But then some of us do. So we're able to depict the game within the game. So these conundrums of reporters trying to trip up these young men in a disavowed vernacular, but these young men were smart enough to answer the question and be witty at the same time, regardless of the capriciousness from the reporter, regardless of the whimsicalness of the reporter. They try to get complicated to these young men when it's not about that. So they will have something else to write about somewhere down the line. I was elated to see Coach Prime have his presser with Travis Hunter, boasting Travis Hunter value closer and closer to a unanimous Heisman Trophy win. It's going to be very hard for you to vote for someone else outside of Travis Hunter if you are sincere with your vote. If you are sincere with your vote, right now, Travis Hunter is head and shoulders above the runner-up. Please hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. It is important that you become a brick in the wall here at Flight Sports TV. And once you have done the two, the last remaining is hitting the notification bell, so you won't miss one iota of an exuberant experience. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Trent. Shout out to Warren. Shout out to Dexter. I love the engagement. I love the engagement because it makes me feel that I'm not alone in this here journey. And when we watch Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders on their hero's journey, as they light up the tundra with fantastical play, night in and night out, it's give me the cheers to continue to be able to express, espouse, and elaborate on what I am witnessing with CU Buff Nation. Listen, the Colorado Buffaloes is becoming must-see TV in sports. I mean, Shohei Ohtani has just had one of the greatest single-season performances in Major League Baseball history. But yet, when it comes Saturday, everything else is shut down. You got the NFL spiraling all over the digital landscape. The NFL. But when it comes to Saturday, everything is shut down. Now, am I exaggerating? Am I exaggerating that the Colorado Buffaloes is must-see TV in collegiate sports? If you can do the research yourself, you could become your own analyst and check out the numbers for yourself. Because men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. Now, I came across an article that happened to be glaring. And it was a conversation. Well, the reason why it was glaring because we here at Flight Sports TV, most of the time we have multiple panelists. And when you have a multi-open panel, the content creators that come up there comprises a consortium. And when it gets too hefty, it becomes a symposium. And a lot of great content come from the variety, the array, of content creators that happen to grace the platform. And so it could be a little bantering, it could be a little bickering, it could be a little bashing at times. Because none of us are professionals at what we're doing when it comes to this digital landscape. We're just giving it our best. And some of us just happen to be a little more polished than others. While there is a slew of content creators that are very uncouth. And by them being uncouth doesn't make them bad people. By them being uncouth doesn't make them non-directional. So there was a conversation in days past about the celebrity of Colorado football. It got to the point right now that Colorado football has garnered 5 national TV games already. They played 4 games, and already they have garnered 5 national TV games. Now, Colorado was expecting 5 national TV games, right? Rick George, the athletic director of Colorado, Coach Prime, his coaching staff, and the players. It was already said you're going to get 5. They're adding as we speak. There's a tug of war to get Colorado on the network. Right now, Fox have the sole right and first right of refusal for Colorado. But there's other networks because Colorado's in the Big 12. Fox got the Big 12. But there's other networks that want a piece of the action. So the upcoming game in Orlando, Florida against University of Central Florida, UCF, down there in Disneyland, on the edge of Kissimmee, Florida, they added this game. This game originally wasn't supposed to be televised nationally. Within a 24-hour span, Fox has decided to put this game amongst their lineup. It's a 1:30 p.m. game, so it's earlier than usual because normally Colorado get the primetime late night game. Earlier than usual. I think Alabama and Georgia is going to have that game. They're going to have the overall primetime game for college football next week, which is rightfully so, right? Alabama, Georgia. I mean, the 2 powerhouses of NCAA collegiate football, the FBS series, and the strong horse in the SEC, top 2. Tennessee is going to have something to say about that sooner or later. But right now, it's Georgia Bulldogs and Alabama Roll Tide Crimson. So they're going to have the primetime game. But Colorado wasn't supposed to have this game. Their next televised game was supposed to be the last game of the season for them. So last season, when Colorado was practically at its apex in popularity, where they had Fox and Game Day, two rivals at Boulder, Colorado. I don't know if you'll see that this season. It's a possibility if Colorado can string along some significant wins and they get into the thickness of the Big 12 conference. It's a possibility you could see that double action again. Fox and ESPN at the same game. So within 24 hours, they added this game to the lineup as the noon nationally televised game. Central Florida now. I mean, this it's not like Colorado is dealing with a heavyweight. This is Central Florida. But they just got to have Colorado on TV. That's my point. I don't care who they play. As Fox announced that the big noon kickoff Saturday morning college football pregame show will air live from Orlando for the Colorado Central Florida game. This is where money moves, because, you know, I like to talk about money. I mean, listen, I'm very moral with the bag, right? I had my days where I was immoral with the bag. But now I'm a little more moral with the bag. So I like money because I know what money can do. I know it's fiat money, man-made, out of machine. They can print as much as they want. Fort Knox. I understand all that. I understand how there's no gold backing the currency right now, especially the U.S. currency right now. And if there is any gold, it's probably minimal, just to show other countries that, hey, we do got the gold. But in reality, what backs the U.S. currency is might. Is might. That's what backs the U.S. currency. All that technology you see flying around, that's what backs the U.S. currency. Technology and might. Okay. So I just want to get that understood. So it's not like I'm a money grubber, or I have a overly rapacious appetite for cheese, for cake, for bread. You feel me? But I know money in a capitalist and globalist society makes things move. I do understand that. I do have that basic understanding of how money move things. So with this Colorado insertion into a nationally televised game that was not a part of the original Fox lineup, is showing you that Colorado is a profit. And sponsors wants to be in alignment with Colorado football. You got sponsors that hold up these networks, because that's how the networks exist, with sponsors. It's not with your viewership. Yeah, I know how they got it now. You know, you can subscribe and stream and things of that nature. I understand that. That's some money, and it's good money. But it's not the money that's holding up the networks. What holds up the network is sponsorship. That's why they want you to be on your best behavior, because we're dealing with sponsors. So for Fox to add another game to be nationally televised, moving equipment, moving their on-air talent, just shuffling things around for one school that was once 1-11. And last season they was what, 4-8. They moving around all this equipment. They moving around, they shuffling all these people, and they're bringing in on-air talent to be able to chaperone this game. I'm saying they just holding hands with Colorado. Like they trying to walk down the aisle or something. And this is all because Coach Prime. Coach Prime left Jackson State, brought talent with him, and refurbished the building. It was a dilapidated building that needed development. And Prime and company brought their tools, their talent, and their wherewithal to refurbish the building. Now, some of us can be extreme and call it, oh man, the white man house was about ready to get blown to the ground by a strong wind, and then some Negro gonna come up there with a few tools and talent and put the house upright. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again because there was no Coach Prime. So if the Knights of the Round Table had a Coach Prime, they would have been able to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. This is the kind of talent that we have as a people. Prime is not a one-off. Coach Prime is not a one-off. Coach Prime is part of the herd in which there are many. There's many windows in my mansion. What's one you want to look out of? And I'm not saying that what he's doing is 100% right. I'm not saying what he's doing is 100% wrong. All I'm saying that he's doing. While a lot of people are on the sideline hurling derogatory epithet at the motion of Prime, the wave of Prime, they're not doing anything on the opposite. I mean, they can be anti, but where is the antithesis of your work? So you're not even doing no work against Prime. All you're doing is hurling words at Prime. Almost like when the donkey came into Damascus. And the rider was. So these things ought not to exist, but they do exist. And it's hurtful. It's an eyesore. Because faith without works is dead. It's like a body without a soul. So you don't have any works. Prime is working his health off. I mean, we can see, if you know Prime, you can see that sometimes he is medicated. But he is working his butt off with the health he has remaining to try to get these young men to the next level, and with a good heart at the same time. Because good hearts are not common in today's world. Good hearts are a few, like a few good men. So Prime is using the University of Colorado as a factory to rebuild young men. Some of them broken, some of them is dealing with a lot of misdirection. Some of them is dealing with a lot of setbacks. And Coach Prime is using that glorious building up there in Colorado as a factory to manufacture men. Of course, with the help of God. And this is an important aspect of Prime's mission and journey, as he has his own hero's journey, but on a level of more of a mentor and example. Because he's no longer able to affect the hearts and minds of people on the field. His days on the tundra is over. So he is able to transform and inspire, which is trans-inspire these men. And he doesn't need AI to help him. Like I said before, Primetime can make a whole lot of money writing books. He can write 3 different aspects of his experience if he wants to. I mean, he can write more, but in recent times, I'm speaking in recent times, he can write about his Jackson State experience. He can write about his Colorado experience. He can write about his health. How do you do it when you're facing health issues? What inspires you to get up every freaking day, take your medication, and then go out before these young men as a sign of strength? Not weakness, strength. And have them suckle from the breast of your strength as if it was mommy's milk. That's not an easy thing to do, because you've seen some of those meetings that Prime has been engaged in. If you've been watching Well Off Media or Big Neely and some others, Colorado Buff content creators, you see there is a swell of young men that is eager to be able to hang on Prime words and exemplify it on the field. They are eager to get out on that field. And they might not be the best of talent, but the motivational factor that lies between the lips of Prime and the ears of the hearer is spectacular. The way he's able to motivate men. And the reason why I'm harking on this, because it correlates to why Colorado is must-see TV and why there are continuously to be added games over even more prominent schools by record. It's because this is a factor. Now, listen, I see Prime is spooking the hell out of these young men. I mean, a lot of these young men is in Spookville because the things that Prime shared with them, he uses the Jesus overtone, right? The Christianity overtone. And he used that to be able to bond these players who come from different backgrounds and different walks of life and have experienced different level of disappointment and have experienced different levels of happiness. So all of this soil, individual soil, Deion Sanders have to plant seeds and hope it germinates. We all know the parable with the shaft and the tear. Jesus' disciples wanted to cut down the shaft, and he said, no, let them both grow. That's justice, because God shines on the wicked as well as the good. His light shines on the wicked as well as the good. Let it grow. You'll be able to discern once they become mature. So Colorado is in a very unique situation, and this causes a lot of dissension, a lot of hate, a lot of anger, jealousy, and downright envy from other programs, coaches, and players. And each week, you are someone's potential Super Bowl. This how much anger and fervor that has been encroached upon for Colorado Buffaloes. And they have to handle it. Coach Prime has to get these young men ready every game. No matter what's going on outside the field, he has to get them to coalesce into a core and cadre on that field as a solidified unit. They have to be all on the same page. And so far, it has worked 3 out of 4 times that has been presented on the field. It has worked 3 out of 4 times. Now, if you had those kind of odds in your life, that what you pursue, you will attain 3 out of 4 times. That's 70%, right? I mean, 75%, excuse me. I'm cheating the percentage. That's 75%. That's a hell of a rate. If you're able to be successful in your endeavors, 75% of the time. That's a high rate of success. So why would you talk down on it? Why would you talk down on it? Why would you consider Coach Prime an imposter? I don't get it. How can you consider Coach Prime as an imposter when he promised Travis Hunter the Heisman? If you do right and you walk by faith, not by sight, and you put on the armor of God so you can resist the wiles of Satan, the Heisman is yours and you stay healthy. And look at it now. It's becoming obvious that Heisman is his. Now we are many weeks away from that moment. But from now until then, he's going to continuously to put on a super high show and will be a showstopper night in and night out for the Colorado Buffaloes. And Shedeur Sanders is right there. Hashtag too legendary. He's right there. Did you see when the reporter asked him a question about that play? What was going on in his mind? And he was so honest. He didn't try to whim something. He didn't try to speak above the moment. He said he was nervous. But he said he knew he had to get something done because he wasn't all the way proud of his play. He told the reporters he missed a lot of reads. You don't get that from quarterbacks. Come on, man. Quarterbacks have the biggest egos on the field. And they prima donnas on top of that. But this young man has been raised and nurtured by the seed of truth. And all he was doing was sharing the truth, even though it might not have come off well. But he said he didn't have no idea. All he trusts God, and he put it out there. All he knew was the defense was drawing to the center of the end zone because he knew they was going to watch Travis, because Travis was knifing them up all night at the receiver ends. 7 catches, 130 yards, averaging over 18 yards a carry. 18 yards a catch. That's stupendous. And when he looked and he saw an opening and he slung that ball and he put it where only his receiver can get it on a Hail Mary. Most Hail Marys, 95% of the time, they putting it up for 50-50. Not so Shedeur. He put it in the area where only his receiver can get it because he knew he was dealing with a smaller receiver than the Shepherds and the Travises. How smart is that? The ball was low to the ground. The defenders, who were taller than the receivers, they ran over each other because they couldn't get that low. They couldn't squat that low, moving that fast towards that ball. Inertia wouldn't allow it. The force of inertia wouldn't allow it. And when they tried to stop on a dime, they looked clumsy and they fell over each other. And Miller comes up with the ball. With what a miraculous play. Improbable pass. He got it in there. They kicked the extra point. Shedeur did what he needed to do on offense to get that game into overtime. He was successful. He executed. How can you talk bad about that? Not nobody with a sane mind. And we know in this digital landscape, you got a lot of crazies. You got a lot of underdeveloped minds. And there is no restriction for them not to express themselves. And I don't want no restriction. I want these crazies to express themselves and show who they are. Because some of these crazies have really nice smiles. And if they didn't speak, you would have thought they was very charming. So don't let the smile fool you. I'm only trying to school you. Smiling faces tell lies. And I got proof. So go ahead and let them express themselves. Let them expose who and what they are. Psychopaths. Psychopath with a beautiful studio. Psychopath with an iPhone. Psychopath with a Galaxy. Putting out content. They have a right to put out content. But I just want to differentiate psychopathic content and reality content. I mean, look at hip hop, right? You in hip hop, you have maybe 2 or 3 real gangsters in hip hop. Because most gangsters wasn't out here rapping. Tell me a bona fide gangster that you really know, that you really heard of, or might even know, that's out here writing 16s. No, you know that not the case. But some of the rappers are so talented that they could observe what's happening in their neighborhoods and put it on paper. Same as someone could write a script and make a movie. Actors not really gangsters, right? You might have a couple of actors that had some gangsterism before they became actors or something, you know. But most actors that's pursuing acting, I done been in some of them table reads and stuff like that, and castings. And these people are some of the most adorable people on earth. They just happen to be good at portraying aspects of society. So when you see this Colorado Buffalo football team getting more and more nationally televised games, that means they are operating in the black. And it is important for these TV executives to find these teams that are operating in the black and put them before the people. Because obviously, the people want to see what the hell is up with all this noise in Boulder, Colorado. Who are these kids? But since they're getting paid so much money in these NIL deals, who are these young men that every time I walk across the water cooler or the coffee machine, I'm hearing names like Hunter, Shedeur, Coach Prime. Who are these people? And why do I feel a proclivity to want to see the faces to be attached with the names? This is why Colorado Buffaloes are getting more games added than expected. And like I say, this is a 24-hour turnaround now. When Rick George announced this, they just came off a heap of a tremendous miracle at Folsom Field. And then hearing the word that y'all next game is televised. Can you imagine that for these young men? They thinking that, okay, maybe we can float under the radar a few weeks. Nope, not going to be that. They just hooked you up with a noon game. So, is it real or is it Memorex? This is what these executives at these networks want to know. Because we done had you at the prime games and listen, the numbers came in clear. But we're struggling at the noon hour. Let's see if we can get them on a noon game and see if these numbers stay in the black. So here we go. Orlando, Florida. You asked for it. You signed up for this. UCF, I know you're undefeated. And let me share y'all a secret. UCF is the overwhelming favorite. They have UCF 80, I think it was 83% to win this game. 83 percentile in favor of UCF. So I'm waiting on the injury report if anything comes out, and I'm going to check the line. And if I do anything in this game, I'm putting it on the over. I say this game go over the number. Whatever the number might be. The number might be 55. I'm saying this game go over the 55 total. I haven't seen anything yet. This is just presumption. But I like both of these teams to score in the 30s like Baylor and Colorado did. We know Florida have some outstanding athletes. They might not make it to the U. They might not make it to Gatorville. They might not make it to the Panhandle. Panhandle, Florida State. Gatorville, Florida Gators. In Miami, Alligator Alley. The U. You got the South Floridas of the world. You got UCF of the world. And there's one more that's escaping me out of Florida. But anyway, the main ones are Florida State, Florida, and Miami. If they don't call you, then these guys from Florida go to UCF and USF and ball out there. So I'm warning all of you. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. And hit the notification bell. Yeah, Florida Atlantic. There you go. And Florida International. FIU. Yeah. Thank you, Lamont. Lamont's always on point. Yeah, those are Florida. UCF is in that category. South Florida is in that category with Florida Atlantic and Florida International University. I've been to Florida Atlantic. I've been to Florida International University. I've been to Miami. I've been to Florida State. but I haven't been to South Florida. I know that's in Tampa, but I haven't been to that location. I haven't been to Central Florida either. I mean, University of Central Florida. I haven't been to their location either. I just know where the whereabouts, but I never stepped foot on that campus. But the other ones, yes. And also, FAMU. Back in, let's see where this was. 2009. I was on FAMU campus. And it's a party. And, listen, Florida is kind of unusual because right there in Tallahassee, right? Because FAMU is in Tallahassee. Just a few blocks away from Florida State University. But nevertheless, there's a Walmart. I can't remember the street, but it's off a major street. You know, one of them country streets. Because Tallahassee is country. You know, they got a lot of country area around Tallahassee, right? And I went to a Walmart, and when I went into that Walmart in Tallahassee, it was like a fashion show. It was like a fashion show. I couldn't believe the way the people was dressed up to come to the Walmart. Because this was daytime. It wasn't like it was at night. They could be stumbling in from a club or something like that, or some kind of social gathering. No, this was regular daytime. And these young men and women, not so much the older people, but the young men and women were swagged out going into Walmart. And I thought that was fascinating. Because I thought you go to Walmart just in your wife beater, your shorts, your N1 shorts, and your Crocs. You run in there, get your stuff, and get on back out and get to the crib, right? Yeah, what brought me there, I used to kind of date a girl down there in Tallahassee. And they got good food, though. They got some good soul food in Tallahassee. But yeah, I just thought that was fascinating that when I was in Tallahassee, everybody was like swagged out, shopping at Walmart. Like, what the fuck? But anyway, I guess that's what happens up there, right? Because also I knew some people in Polk, Florida. But to get back on track, the Colorado Buffaloes. This is a litmus test. This 1:30 p.m. game, part of the noon shakedown for Fox Sports TV, collegiate lineup for Saturday. This is going to be a litmus test to see if they can draw just as many fans at the night play, at the day play. And I'm telling you, I think it will. It might even draw more. Because, Colorado's West Coast, right, up in the Rockies. And the East Coast, a lot of time they're sleeping. So the voters that's on the East Coast, they only watching highlights. So they don't get the full context of the intangibles that Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders display play after play. And now they get an opportunity to see it because the game is at a reasonable time slot that any and everybody who's watching, whether fans, pundits, purists, analysts, voters, or casual, we'll get a good peek at what Colorado is all about, what that black and gold is all about. And honestly, I'm kind of happy that they're playing one of these early games. Because I don't have to worry about halfway falling asleep or making an executive decision. Do I want to stay up late and take a chance on being late to work? Or do I just want to shut the TV down and just catch the replay or look at my ESPN app to see what the results were?
This is Holly Heat of the Hot Seat with Holly Heat, and this is Flight Sports TV.
Please subscribe to Flight Sports TV, hit the like button, and leave a comment.
Shout out to Flight Sports TV, the machine, the voice of the voiceless, the people's champ, the hottest in these streets. Please hit that like button. We will be definitely honored for you to hit that like button. And we will be more elated if you hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 10,000. We're almost 1,000 off. Let's help us get to 10,000 by being a brick in the wall, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss one iota of an exuberant experience. And we want to once again thank Flight for inviting us onto his platform and integrating us onto his stream. Listen, I was supposed to have some company, and I'm a little infuriated because it looks like the company that I thought I had jumped off the panel. He was here watching the Dallas Cowboys get man, the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I'm a Cowboy fan. I'm not ashamed to admit it. And not Wyoming Cowboys, not Oklahoma State Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys. Colorado got some good headbangers coming up in a few weeks. They're going to have to face off Kansas State. They also have to face off Arizona. You know what's going to be a good game for Colorado? Cincinnati. I think that's going to be a really good game for Colorado. That Cincinnati game. And Texas Tech, oh, wait, boy, you got to watch out for Texas Tech. That's the home of Mahomes. Texas Tech. That should be a good game in Utah. Cam Rising, the quarterback for the Utah Utes, should be back in uniform by the time Colorado comes around. And then they got the Kansas. That's going to be a real good game. Kansas is a ranked team. I think they lost, but I think they're still ranked. So they might, I don't know if they'll be ranked by the time Colorado swings their way, but they're going to have to go to, what is that damn town in Kansas? Lawrence. Yeah, Lawrence. They're going to have to go to Lawrence, Kansas. Shout out to Basil Carpenter Jr. And try to uproot the Jayhawks. That's going to be a difficult task. And then you got the Oklahoma State Cowboys to close out the season. And that's already scheduled to be a nationally televised game on ABC. But I think there's going to be some more games added for Colorado, especially if they get past UCF. you're going to best believe that Arizona game or that Cincinnati game will be inserted as a nationally televised game. And I think that Utah, depending on Utah's record and Colorado record, that Utah game might be a nationally televised game as well, because Utah have a very nice quarterback, but he just unable to stay healthy in Cam Rising. So it's going to be some more games probably added in for Colorado, impromptu, because they got a good schedule. Shout out to you, Wilt Stumbling, 45. Yeah, Colorado got a good schedule ahead of them. So this Big 12 conference for Colorado, this first year schedule, they can have up to, they had 5 now. So that's 5 consecutive nationally televised games. 5 consecutive. I don't think Kansas State might be a nationally televised game, but that Arizona could be. That old Pac-12 rivalry, conference game, excuse me, not rivalry, but conference game, that might be nationally televised. And I think that Cincinnati coming to Boulder, that might be nationally televised, because that's going to be a rim rocker, Cincinnati versus Colorado. And then Colorado go down to one of my old stomping grounds from the 80s when I used to live in Lubbock, Texas. Lubbock, Texas has some hotties over there at Texas Tech. We used to go over there and party. They used to have some nice parties at Texas Tech back in the 80s. So you got Texas Tech, the home of Mahomes, home of Cliff Kingsbury, and home of Master Sack. I don't know if y'all go back that far to Master Sack for the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Master Sack. So there's a storyline. So that's possibly could be a nationally televised game. But if they don't nationally televise Texas Tech, I think they will insert Utah. And like I said, that's based on both teams' record. Because Cam Rising is out for the Utes. But Utah is a very, very good team. And they might have the best run defense in the Big 12. So that will be a solid matchup for Colorado. So we'll see how that unfolds as we approach these games in the latter weeks. But right now, Colorado focuses on UCF, and that's an undefeated team. So that there ain't nothing to play at. You can't poo-poo on UCF because they're in a mid-conference. Because they're undefeated. So that means they can get the ball in the end zone. That means they have the potentiality to score one more point than you. So Colorado's looking pretty good despite that Nebraska fiasco, that embarrassment. Outside of that, they doing good. 3-1 and won their first Big 12 conference game in grand fashion. Definitely was a doozy, instant classic. One for the books. And what makes that game so interesting, not only that they won the game preceded by a Hail Mary, But the players that were involved in the two plays that determined either Colorado win or lose. Shedeur, Hail Mary, Travis Hunter, the hit. The hit that was so forceful that the ball fuselage, as it was discharged from the arms of the running back. That hit basically broke the law of inertia. Travis Hunter made up his mind with deleterious intent to pry the ball from the defender. I won't say pry. I think pry is not what I'm looking for here. Because the running back came from a distance. Travis Hunter came from a distance, and they met at a crescendo as the running back attempted to cross the goal line via airborne. Travis met him at the rendezvous point, and an aerial incursion ensued, and the running back lost. The ball was dislodged upon impact, and the force of that impact caused the ball to roll rapidly out the back of the end zone for 30 feet before someone touched it. That's how fast that ball was fuselaged out of the arms of the running back, of the carrier. No one was able to touch the ball until it got to the back of the end zone. That's 30 feet. That's 10 yards. The end zone is 10 yards. But if you measure the chalk, it's 11. So that was a devastating blow. Shout out to Plant Base. That was a devastating blow to the inflation of the Baylor Bears. Because Baylor thought they can come and win that game. Baylor is not a bad team. They don't have a bad coach either. And that quarterback didn't screw up too often. He was very well managed, and he managed well the game. I mean, they had the game won. They had the game in their back pocket. It was just an extraordinary moment for Shedeur Sanders and Miller. That combination. And he only had 2 passes. And this says a lot about Shedeur Sanders and his intelligent quotient. High intelligent quotient. This says a lot about Shedeur Sanders. This guy, Miller, only had 2 pass attempts. And he caught both. No need to say about the last pass attempt. So think about this. Travis Hunter caught 7 passes for 130 yards. Average 18 yards per catch. A little over, 18.6, I believe it was. So, I mean, if we round it off, it's 19, but we'll leave it at 18. 18 yards per catch. But Shedeur Sanders' high intelligent quotient out-slicked the defensive coaching staff for the Baylor Bears and threw it to one of the smallest guys on the field. How crazy is that, right? You got one of the smallest guys on the field that you're going to entrust a one-off with. But the chances in this one-off is greater than 50% only because the defense rolled towards the side of Travis Hunter. So that increased the completion percentage when practically all the defenders went over to Travis and left Miller practically with a one-on-one. And the safety couldn't get over in time. But when he did get there, Shedeur spent that pigskin so perfectly in that narrow window that only his receiver can catch it. And by him being one of the shortest players on the field, it was low to the ground, barely above the tundra, and those tall defenders could not squat while they was in motion low enough to put hands on that ball. Instead, these defenders end up clashing with one another while Miller clutched the ball to his chest to bring him within 1 point of tying the game in a 2-second play. Shedeur Sanders himself said he was a little nervous, but he knew he had to do something. He knew he had to work a miracle. He said, I'm putting this one in God's hand. And all of a sudden, we seen the miraculous catch from an improbable pass. That's crazy. Yeah, Trent said it's going to be a dogfight for that conference title. BYU, Utah, UCF, Cincy, K-State, and Colorado. Trent, like I said, Colorado got a good schedule in their initial inauguration of Big 12 conference play. They got a really good schedule. It's favorable to some extent. The way it lines up, Colorado can definitely be a bowl game contender. They can definitely get into that 12-team round robin at a low seed. And if they get in as a low seed, man, would that be so successful for the program. Nobody expecting them to win except Colorado faithful. Outside of Boulder, Colorado, there's not too many sports fans expect Colorado to be up there with the head honchos. So if they could squeak by with some early wins and stay healthy, they can win 8 games with ease. And I remember I told somebody that before the season started. I said, Colorado can win 8 games. Do you know they damn near laughed themselves to death? They laughed at me. They thought I lost my scruples. They thought Dexter went south. So Trent, they're not ranked in the top 25 yet? You don't think Monday they'll be at number 25? I think they're going to be at number 25, 24 come Monday with all the dominoes that fell yesterday. They need to put a number on the side of Colorado when their name is being mentioned. So I think they're going to find a way, somehow, some way, to try to get Colorado in the top 25. Because I think that way ESPN can have some say-so about televising some Colorado games because they're a top 25 team. So we're going to see if that magic could occur with the Coaches Association and the AP poll come together and give Colorado enough votes to hang around the seafloor of the top 25. That would be a good thing to have this team ranked. It's early, so rankings don't really mean much, but it's early. So why not put them as the top 25 team, right? Let's play around a little bit with the haters. Because, will they have a hissy fit if they see a top 25 number next to the Colorado Buffaloes name. Oh my God, the haters will be on suicide watch. So we're going to see, though. We're going to see if they can manage. Because we're looking at history in the makings. You know that, right? Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at history in the making if Colorado get a number attached to their name like 24 or 25. No, they're not going to never be no higher than 23. But 24, 25 hanging around the sea floor, the seabed, hanging around with the lobsters and the crabs and the oysters and the clams, and jellyfishes, stingrays, the bottom feeders, snails. I think that would do some good for the collegiate sport. That'll give more kerfuffle to the conversation. If that was to happen. I mean, could you imagine Monday at work at the water cooler, at the coffee machine, at the copier, at the scan machine? How did Colorado get to 24? Are they playing favorites? How is Colorado ranked in the top 25? Isn't there other teams better than them with a 3-1 record? It would be crazy. Yeah, I think that's what happened. Nebraska, they embarrassed Colorado, so that's how they got into the top 25. I think Nebraska was was it up to 23? I think Nebraska was up to 23 before they lost to Illinois. Illinois fighting alumni. I was watching that game, and I was like, dang, this is the Nebraska team that plummeted Colorado in the first half. Because Illinois was doing their thing. I didn't realize Illinois was that good. That's right, Trent. They absolutely said that. And I definitely reiterated that discussion on numerous occasions during this live about Shedeur, Travis, and company. Even Shiloh. He was a part of that to some degree. Because we know Shiloh, I think he played at South Carolina and it didn't work out, and then got in the transfer portal and went to Jackson State. So they said he ran from the SEC because he was soft. So he had to go to Jackson State with his daddy. But then when Shiloh went to Colorado, we saw Shiloh was putting, helmet to uniform until he injured himself. Yeah, so we did talk about that, Trent, about the discussion and the narrative about these two studs of football players playing at a PWI or Power 5 conference, the competition and the physicality that comes with it, that they wouldn't make it, how the naysayers said they wouldn't make it. The doubters, the disbelievers, the pessimists, the cynics. And we say, if you can play ball, you can play ball, no matter where you at. Yeah, they're going to, not only are they dominating, they're doing it in high fashion. I mean, it's spectacular what they're doing out there on that tundra together, coming from an HBCU. And see, and this is why you don't supposed to knock them, Trent. See, this is what is disgusting about certain people that tried to knock them. Because if you wouldn't separate yourself, or you wouldn't cause a chasm with the narratives that they suckers because they went to a Power 5 conference, particularly a PWI from Jackson State, which was an HBCU. They suckers for that. I mean, listen, the narration was so bad, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Umar Johnson himself apologized for jumping on that stupid bandwagon about Deion and his boys leaving Jackson State University and jumping up to PWI or Power 5 conference. Umar Johnson, the no snow bunny guy himself, apologized and basically was kind of ashamed that he jumped on that narrative, hook, line, and sinker. And he had to separate himself from those who were on that narrative. I'm talking Umar Johnson. The no snow bunny guy. Because what happens is that psychologically, you're creating a chasm and a differentiation of HBCU and Power 5. You are basically sending a message in a frequency that these young boys can't compete for real. That's what you're doing. And once the psychologist himself, he considers himself the most famous black psychologist in the world, understood, or he came to grips that their narration was more of a slave drudgery than black excellence. Because you're telling young black men in their physical prowess that they're incapable of going and playing in that kind of environment and excelling. When you spew out that kind of negative narrative. Because Jackson State is not the center of HBCU. It's not the center. It's an associate of HBCUs. So that means you got a wealth of other historically black colleges that have players that can get the job done on any level of competition. But you're saying, because you're disdain for Deion, that these group of guys won't make it up there. So basically, it's an underhanded slap to anybody that consider themselves a competitor at an HBCU. You understand where I'm coming from? This is why you have to read the fine print from some of these crazies. You have to read the fine print. Because their content have no context. And if you're a critical thinker, you're going to see that. But I don't expect that from young people. But I damn sure expect it from older people. And Dr. Umar Johnson realized that he was on the wrong side of the tracks on that one. He had to apologize. And how often do Dr. Umar Johnson apologize or even admit that he was pursuing the wrong means to be justified? So I thought that was pretty fascinating when I heard him say this. It was a while back on his stream. And I don't know if he took that on the road with him to other podcasts. I don't know, because I don't follow him like that. Just every now and then I just chime in with him when I see something come across my YouTube timeline and he talking about some snow bunny Negro this, some snow bunny Negro that. And sometimes I think it's hilarious. So I said, let me hear what he has to say. Maybe I want to laugh. So this is why you have to be careful on who narration you attach yourself to. Because most times and often they have an agenda. Anytime you knocking a successful person that's not doing wrong, it's just decision making, right? And a lot of times we make decisions and then we make executive decisions. And when we get to the point where we make executive decisions, that's when things get a little murky. Because we can make decisions all day long, right? Turn left, that's a decision, right? Walk up these stairs, that's a decision. Park your car in this parking lot, that's a decision. Eat at this restaurant or fast food, that's a decision. We make decisions all the time. But then it comes to a point where we meet the crossroads and an executive decision have to be made. And this could be life-altering executive decision. It can change your life and those around you forever, good or bad. I'm not saying it's going to be good. I'm just giving you a neutral situation. And in a neutral situation, you make the decision, and then the results would justify if it was good or bad. You feel me? So, going back to Coach Prime, when he made the decision to leave, I don't know all the factors that weighed in on that decision. I don't know. Because in prima facie, it could be like, oh man, it's a sellout. In prima facie, it could be, oh man, it's a sellout. What is this dude doing? He's leaving black people. Not knowing there could have been harm done to him by black people in that situation that caused him to say, you know what, enough is enough, I'm out. It's hard as hell dealing with stiff-necked and rebellious people. It's hard. And everybody's not cut out to be Messiah. You can talk all the God talk you want until you have to exorcise demons out of people. Let's see how powerful your God is then. And most of the detractors of Coach Prime are sitting on the sidelines. They sideline busters. They ain't out with the grassroots. They not out educating. They ain't saying, you know what, let me take this brother right here who's illiterate and teach him how to read and write. I'm gonna be with him 2 hours a day for a week, and he gonna get one of them right. Either he gonna read right, or he gonna write right, or he gonna read and write right. They'll teach him some math. And it don't have to be a stranger. It could be, you could be dating a woman with kids. And sometimes men are hands off, unless they get angry, then they want to whip the kid. But outside of that, they hands off on the kid. Because you ain't my kid, you ain't my daddy. Okay, cool. We understand that. The only thing we got in common is your mama. Take the kid and be a mentor. I ain't say be his daddy. I ain't say be a stepdaddy. That's a conversation between you and the mom have to have. Because that's a dynamic that you two have to work out. But take it upon yourself to be a mentor. And depending how old the kid is, you can straight tell, listen, I ain't here to be a daddy. You got one. You only live right down the street. I know your mom be tripping, but if you want me to help you out on certain things, I can mentor you. No agenda. I can mentor you. And set boundaries and hold him accountable, the child, as well as hold yourself accountable to make sure you stay on schedule with the mentorship. Not one of those, oh shit, the game is on. Damn, I got Shedeur over here, I'm supposed to go mentor. No, the game is not a priority. But Shedeur is. Little man is. Mentor. I'm not saying you the Einstein of the world. I'm not saying you the Sigmund Freud of the world. I'm not saying you are the Carl Jung of the world. I'm not saying none of that. I'm not saying you got to be Confucius. You ain't got to be all that. Your experience is already a teacher embedded. Just your experience through the child. It's already a teacher embedded. So don't knock Coach Prime that he's trying to be a kind of a grand mentor to these young men who are feeble-minded, or some of these young men who are strong-minded, that he comes to bring equilibrium amongst these young men. Don't knock that. Because knocking him, you're knocking everybody on that team. Black, brown, yellow, red, or white. Don't be a demon. Because we're drowning demons in the sea of love. Don't be a demon. We are drowning demons in the sea of love. And it's excruciating to the demon to be in a sea of love. Colorado has picked up another nationally televised game. This time it will be at the noon 1:30 p.m. on Fox. Newly inserted Colorado Buffalo football. This, how much the people appetite for CU Buff Nation is in effect. These people are starving for more Shedeur. These people are starving for more Travis. These people are starving to see Deion Sanders, as they say, walk up and down the sideline, pretending like he's coaching. They're starving for it, however you want to put it. They want to see it. So here comes the litmus test. 1:30 p.m. Fox, Saturday, September 28th. FBC Mortgage Stadium in Orlando, Florida. We know it goes down in Orlando. Do we need to say more? We know it goes down in Orlando. Orlando, Florida, Orange Blossom Trail, Kissimmee, Florida. It goes down. Once you get beyond those lighted up buildings with the neon signs and the Grand Marquis in the in the Disneyland complex. Once you get beyond those lights, it's on and cracking in Orlando. I'm talking the entertainment is different. It ain't about Mickey Mouse. It ain't about Donald Duck. It ain't about Minnie Mouse. It's not about Nickelodeon and the Slime, Knights of the Round Table. It's not about them. It's a different atmosphere beyond those lights on the I-4 corridor. Trust me, I know. I know because I got my first Asian scrub in Orlando, Florida. Yes, I did. I'm grown. I'm a consenting adult. I got my first Asian scrub. Never heard of it before. Only seen it, I think, in that movie with Chris Tucker and the Asian guy. God, I can't, his name slipped me right now. You know, late night, my brain just started to fog up. What is the Asian guy name that was in Rush Hour? The Rush Hour movie. I think I saw it in the rush hour room, but never engaged in it until I went to Orlando, Florida. And let me tell you, the Asian scrub showed me how to really wash my body from head to toe. Mama didn't teach me how properly. Papa didn't teach me how properly. It was an Asian woman that really taught me how to wash my body and have thorough hygiene from head to toe. And I learned it going to a few Asian scrubs. So I know what goes down in Orlando. I know what goes down in Orlando. And the cameras will be there. Fox TV or Fox Sports will be there at 1:30 to showcase this matchup. So don't be square. Meet me there. Because we're going to rock and roll as this season unfurls. And we're going to see more games added to the Colorado Buffalo schedule that will be nationally televised. When you look at the schedule, you can see that. If these teams hold up and their records, and they have winning records, and it looks like they're prone to be a part of the Elite 12, you're going to see these games being added. That doesn't show they're added yet. Y'all hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. And hit the notification bell so you won't miss one iota of an exuberant experience. And we're going to call it a night.
What up, y'all? It's your man, Freeway Ricky Ross, and you looking at Flight Sports TV. Don't turn that channel.
Please subscribe to Flight Sports TV, hit the like button, and leave a comment.
Flight Sports TV, man. That's my dude. I rolls with him.
You heard what the man said. It's Flight Sports TV.
Like I said, Flight Sports TV.